We're here now.
Yes. We talked about sleepovers a little bit in the break.
We did. We keep talking about really good stuff in the break
Girl
as well. We should
sleepovers,
just
boy sleepovers.
turn the
The
camera
difference.
back on.
Well, I just you were like, oh, when we do a sleepover, and I was like, what?
Sometimes I get excited, and sometimes she'll suggest it. Like, should we have wine and a sleepover? And I'm like, I just want to be on my own.
I get that though. When everyone's like, oh, do you want to socialise? And I'm like,
no. I say yes, and I build it up, and it gets to the day, and I go, no. I've got to walk my cat.
I've got to walk my cat.
You know she's there. Right?
I am here.
Oh no!
Do you want a sleepover?
I was going to say, guess who's not getting a sleepover tonight?
Guess who's not got a cat?
Yeah, it's staying round, isn't it? That's what blokes do, or
Yeah.
what I do anyway.
No, it's like
Do you want to come round? A couple of bits.
Come round
I
for a
don't talk. I don't talk like that. To be fair,
you can fall asleep on a sofa if you want.
that's a weird
You're
laddish
inviting
one.
me over for a sleepover?
Fall asleep on a sofa, mate. Do as you're told.
Let's just not call it that. Yeah, it's like the time when you curled up in the flat on that dodgy sofa that's like half a sofa and the rest of it's gone.
Well, the sofa was as big as this table.
No, it wasn't even that big.
And then
it's
just
rock
narrower.
hard. And it's rock hard. And you fell asleep and I was on the opposite side of the room and every now and then you just did this like really uncomfortable like...
It's because I wasn't sleeping. I was just trying to survive.
Then I think and it was cold as well.
Yeah.
And I think we just abused you and you just rolled over.
I'm used to this.
Just rolled over.
You're not wrong.
Oh dear. I do miss football season sometimes.
Yeah, it's almost
Anyway.
football season. Training now. That's why I'm getting dench and trim. Is that right?
You got that off Urban Dictionary, didn't you?
This is my attempt to try and be more
I
urban.
told you to stop doing Urban Dictionary research. Okay, so let's start with something that's kind of like just like an open question. So sort of getting a little bit kind of deeper now. Go on.
No, I had a good fun game that I wanted to play.
Okay, have you run it by me?
Yeah, we did. Before you got wet. That's not the reason why he got wet at the game, but
I
Are
had
you
it.
sure?
maybe. But do this first, then we'll do the thing after.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just gonna kind of. Wow, what did I say then?
You said it was an open question about something.
It's called a stutter.
Okay, so let's just see what you think of this. Do you believe that a path for your life and a purpose is mapped out in advance? So do you think that it's something that is like,
No.
do you think it's planned completely?
No, 100% no.
All right, think
Or
about
do
it.
you
for a
think everything is a major coincidence?
Not coincidence.
Neither.
You're in
I
control
think
of it.
neither.
Okay.
I think that you have a massive influence on your own direction. I do believe in the law of attraction. I'm 100% behind that in terms of what you put out to the world, you get back in terms of your efforts will attract good things. Because if you're going to put a lot of effort into your life and work hard and have drive and have ambition, you're going to get that back because you always see a reflection of what you put out come back to you. I do think an element of it you can't control. Like there are certain things in your life that you can't control, but I don't think that it's mapped out for you.
I believe in
I think
fate.
you can
Fate,
create
I
it.
think.
Yeah.
Are those
people-
two things
People
not...
and things are meant to happen,
See,
but there
I-
isn't a time where they're meant to happen.
It's interesting you say that though, but I think fate is so anti that though. It's so anti. Like you're saying, oh, you can map stuff out, but then fate is just like, well, fuck it.
I think like to do with people.
so
Like, I think people are meant to come in your life at certain times. Like I think, do you know when you're feeling like the lowest, and then someone comes into your life and you're brought up, and it's that's meant to be.
So would you not consider that too much of a coincidence for it to be an accident?
No, I don't know.
It's interesting you say that though, because then you would suggest maybe like a higher power or something. And then
Yeah,
it's
so that was
more-
kind of like where that was going, but you've ruined it now.
Ah.
No, because I'm just kind of like...
That is interesting that you say that, because obviously I think people want to think both and they completely contradict themselves.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I think you want both, because it's like, yeah, I'm in control of my own life. I've completely got the reins of my own life. Oh, but this person's come into my life and they've completely changed it
That's
for
me.
me.
That's me in a box. You've just put me in a
It's
box.
literally...
Get out of the box.
That's-
Be your own person.
Yeah, like and I think that we're all
You
guilty
stay
of
there.
it to a certain degree, because we want to believe that we're in control of our own lives, and I think to a certain degree we are. But then things do happen. Things happen that we don't expect.
Right, okay.
I don't think you can necessarily go one way or the other.
So do you not ever think like that is way too coincidental? Like, it just like there's no what are the odds of that happening the way
100%.
that it did? Like,
100%,
because there's the theory that it's like, and something that I wouldn't say that I believe in, but I'm like open to the concept of it. It's like, you know, when you're like in a rush to get somewhere, and then you just get stopped by red light after red light after red light. The theory is that you are exactly where you're supposed to be in that exact moment. So if the light had gone green, would you have had a car accident? Like, not to that extreme, you know what I mean? But is that something?
No, I just think it's fucking sod's law, that. Fuck it, I've missed the light.
Yeah, I mean, because people say that don't get angry at a red light because that is causing you to be exactly where you're supposed to be in that exact moment, you know, in your life, kind of thing. And
you might be like 2 seconds late to like what's happening then, but you might be like a few years. Wait, no, I've got it the wrong way around, didn't I? Wait.
Go on, start again.
A few seconds. A few seconds late.
You all right?
A few minutes late in this world is better than a few earlies.
The thing is, I know what you're trying to say, but I'm not going to tell you because I want you to do
You
this.
can do this.
I can
Deep
do
breath. Deep breath. Begin again. There's
I
no
feel
pressure.
Like we're on camera.
Well, you are.
I hate to break it to you. We're on camera.
You have been for a good hour now, so I'm glad that you've just realised. Go on.
I can't even do it.
We'll coach you through it, word by word.
Don't stop staring. A few minutes late in this world is better than a few years early in another. Boom!
End it there.
Thank you.
Let's just call it off. It's not getting any better than that. I'm proud of you. You did well to get
And
that
more
kind of-
wine will help, I'm sure.
So interestingly, you said that you guys don't believe that is a thing. So that, like, obviously your life's mapped out because I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the film, and I like films that kind of give you more to think about. So like it gives you something to consider, like, you know, that you go away from the film and you're still thinking about it, you know, on a deeper level. So there's two that stand out for me. So one is The Adjustment Bureau. Have you seen that?
No.
Matt Damon.
I feel like this is like deja vu of our conversation.
Yeah, we've talked all the way
Adjustment
through
Bureau.
this. Can you just pretend you've not heard it before?
What are you talking about?
I talk about new things every day and never repeat the same stories. So this is all brand new to you. Because basically the way the film works is he's meant to meet the female, but briefly. So he's meant to meet her and she's meant to give him like drive and ambition to go and become, to go and run for Senate.
But only for a certain period in his life.
But then he bumps into her again by accident, which only happens because the guy who is like essentially controlling his fate falls asleep on a park bench. So he's meant to bump into him and spill his coffee on him, which means he misses the bus, which means he's where he's supposed to be. But because he falls asleep on the bench, he makes the bus and she's on the bus. So then all of a sudden she's in his life again, and then he falls for her, etc., etc. And they're trying to say, like, you're not meant to be with her, because if you're with her, you won't become Senate, and then you won't be able to run for president, etc., etc.
She gives you so much drive that you become so.
Saying like it's not good for she's good for you in small doses, and he can't understand it because obviously he's falling. Because
when it feels good, you want more.
Exactly.
But it doesn't always mean it's right.
Yeah, but he ends up.
But they just completely fall in love with each other.
He ends up battling against his own fate then, because they're trying to stop him from seeing her again and trying to keep her away from him.
Yeah.
And doing everything they can to like turn her away and get her in different places, etc., etc. And he gets the same bus every day, I think, for like 5 years, just in the hope of like fighting her again. But it's worth watching. And then the other one is in one of my favourite films, in Benjamin Button. And again, just pretend you've not heard this before. Okay. There's this. Have you seen that?
I've seen this film, but many years ago, so I don't remember it clearly. So
he, the girl that he's in love with,
who's the actor?
Brad Pitt.
That's it. Yes.
One of my favourite films. I think it's brilliant. She breaks her leg. She's a ballet dancer. Yeah. And she breaks her leg because she gets hit by a car. So then he goes back, when he's sitting in the hospital waiting to see her, he goes back over like the reason, sort of what happened that day that led to her getting hit by a car. So he talks about all the people that were involved and the fact that there was a woman, and he goes through it one by one. He's like, there's a woman, she forgot her coat, so she went back and then she got held up on the phone, which meant that the taxi was 2 minutes late. And then the taxi driver went to collect a parcel, but the parcel hadn't been wrapped because the girl who was supposed to wrap it broke up with her boyfriend the night before. So she'd obviously forgotten to do it, and all these different things. And he's like, if just one of those things hadn't happened, then her entire life would have been completely different, because she would never have gone through that. She'd have become a professional ballet dancer, etc., etc. But just like that, you know, like if a woman had not forgotten her coat and had got in the cab straight away, then the cab would have gone past like 5 seconds before she came out of the dance school. So it's just like how close you are to like one tiny little thing leading your entire life down a completely different road. Like, say for example, you walked into a bar 10 seconds too late, and somebody that you could have met in that bar that could have taken you to live a life in a completely different country, but because you get there 10 seconds later, you don't bump into them. Do you know what I mean? So just like tiny little things like that. So I do think sometimes that there's things that are way too convenient, and that it can be altered so massively by just tweaking it.
I think you can influence what you want out of this world, but you don't necessarily have control over everything. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like a career and your life goals, or where you want to live, or what you want to do, or where you want to go, I think you have full control.
Yeah.
I think there's something...
You literally can control that.
Yeah. There's something good to say from that as well, because they talk about, like, philosophically what makes people, you know, anxious, angry, things that they can't deal with, especially anxiety. You talk about the things that you can control, which is your thoughts and the things you say and the things you do. Outside of that, you can't do anything. Yeah. So people who worry about all sorts of other things, you go, well, can you say something? Can you do something? Can you think something? Yeah. No, I can't. Don't worry about it. There's nothing. It's outside of your control. So it's that element of viewpoint. But I liked what you said earlier, which was about you send out what you send out, and you will in return have have it come back. And there's a term. It's like 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration. And I think that goes for a lot of things. You know, you keep working away, and if you have that little bit of talent or that little bit so and so, that is the 1% realistically. But it's a lot of work in everything, everything that we do.
And I think it's something that, you know, and we talked about this morning, because we obviously, like, that just went off on a tangent, didn't it?
It did.
And we were talking about, you know, like the influence of other people in your lives and things like that, and what you end up, I think, as you go through and you meet people, and then those people come and go, and obviously some people stay, but I think sometimes it takes meeting those personalities to realise how much that you don't want to be a part of that kind of thing. 100%. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, like, I found myself in a relationship with the complete wrong personality, and that just convinced me even more as to what I actually want, and the kind of things that I need around me in order to kind of be like the way that I want to be, kind of thing.
You have to experience the bad
you do,
to appreciate the good.
You do, yeah.
That's interesting, because this is a question that was posed to quite a few people. It said, right, if you could go into a chamber that you didn't, so you're completely aware, you're completely real, but you go into a chamber.
Completely real.
Yeah, no. This
I am real.
You are real. It makes sense what I'm saying. So you're completely real. I've not even had anything to drink. So you go into this chamber, and you know what. When you go in this chamber, you can have everything you want in life. So you can be completely, you know, happy, do absolutely everything you want. You can fly. You could, be really successful, and you won't know it's not real. When you're in there, do you go in there? Do you go in there? But like, you'll go in there, you'll go to sleep, and you'll live this life.
For how long?
Forever. Till your natural body dies.
Oh.
So it's kind of like an Avatar scenario. Yeah. What a great film that is.
But would you go in?
I wouldn't.
No.
You wouldn't?
It's not
because
reality.
It's not reality, and there's so much virtual
but
reality.
You wouldn't know once you're in.
Yeah, but you know before you go in. And are you going to literally give up all your integrity for what you want by not working for it, when you can work for it and have exactly the same result?
That goes back to the things have to go bad, so you know when they are really good.
Do you think as a person you can ever be truly satisfied?
No. Never.
I don't think
there's
you
no
can.
Such thing as perfect.
No, because even like people.
Well, have you met me?
We have.
Because you see like people get to levels of success like that most of us would never even consider a possibility, and there's still like there's always something that comes next. You know, whether like, because you do get people who get to the point where it's like money no object. You know, I don't. But then at that point...
I don't think it's about money.
But no, like celebrities, like everyone looks up to celebrities. Oh my God, they have the perfect life, blah, blah, blah. They can't even like pop to the shops in their pyjamas without getting paps. Like I can go to the shop looking like a piece of shit. No one cares because no one's going to do anything about it. I would rather have
Yeah, you have quite the reputation for it. Everyone does talk about it, but
What's the fact that I look like shit? That's why I'm wearing a hat. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, money does not buy happiness, I don't think. It just makes your life a little bit less...
It's nicer crying in a Mercedes, though, than crying in a Ford KA.
I would rather...
with welding issues.
I think,
That's my car.
like money
Was that your
can
car?
make you comfortable.
I don't.
I nearly crashed into it, I'm sorry.
Dude, I wouldn't have noticed. I don't drive that car. I wear it.
Should I have crashed into it?
I've improved it
It's
somewhat.
ridiculous. It's an awful car. It smells of dog, and it's just held together with just hope. That's all. It's got welding problems. I'm dreading MOT day.
Okay, so what about soulmates? Do you think there's one person for everybody, or do you think that it's multiple personalities? Maybe.
I don't believe that soulmates are necessarily romantic. I don't reckon. I think soulmates can be more than just. I think you're
Like platonic.
I think you can have a soulmate and spend the rest of your life with them in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think that it has to be romantic.
Oh, I see.
Because
So
soulmates
it's not
are
like
not,
the
yeah, like
Soulmates are just people that you feel like you are literally like
us.
as one.
this is so relevant because my friend texted me last night and was like, "You are my best friend's soulmate," and it is so true because I love her to death, but I'd never be with her. Like, I can't imagine my life without her now.
That's what I think.
Like, I think you can have really, really good friends that
It's about the connection within
you
the
can
soul.
have
It's
this,
not about the physicality.
Yeah, you can still have that same connection and it be on a different level. There's so many different levels of like human relationships that go far beyond like the conventional, and it doesn't always have to be like a one-way thing. Like,
it's interesting with the is there a soulmate like on a like a more romantic note? I completely agree. There's people out there who
Romantically,
just
I don't
romantically. I don't know. I think
people are different. Like you could meet someone today and they could be like, oh, you are everything I could ever want, but you could get bored or
Then they're not your soulmate.
And then you go back to the coincidence and fate. You meet someone else and then you start distancing yourself from that person, and then you meet someone new, and it's just.
But is that just that you've like, because we've all been there where you have the perception that it's like this person is it, you know, and then like slowly, like you said, over time it kind of fades away.
Maybe
Is that
that's
just like a false?
self.
That's a false perception that you've believed that you've found it
maybe.
because you've never experienced it before.
Yeah, maybe
Because-
eventually you get to someone and you think there is no one better than
Because when you're like 15, you have your first relationship. You're like, oh my god, I love him so much, and then like you meet the next person, it's like, oh, hang on, that wasn't real, and then it's like this is better, and then
I
after
feel
that,
like
it's
every
like,
time you go along, it's like that wasn't real, but this is.
yeah, exactly. It's true.
I was wrong the last time, but this is right.
But it's lack of knowledge. Like if you could
Yeah.
experience what perfection is beforehand, then you'd know when you meet somebody that it's not the right
But
thing.
at the same time, I think that although no one's ever going to be perfect. We've established that, haven't we? So you can have a soulmate, but I don't necessarily think that it's always going to be perfect.
They're not going to have everything.
With every relationship, no matter whether it be a relationship, romantic, friendship, family.
Yeah.
There'll always be something
compromise.
missing.
There is always a compromise because everyone is different. No two people are the same. We're all built up differently. We all have different characteristics.
Different experiences.
No one's going to gel. That's Cicerine. No one's going to gel like that.
No, of course
You can
not.
gel with someone, but you're never going to agree.
I mean, I think some people are gelling like that. But
I mean, you're still going to
maybe
have...
over on my channel.
What's
the link for that
That's
again?
definitely a thumbnail of yours, isn't it? I mean, you're always like, of course, you're always going to have problems like with whoever you end up kind of spending your life with. But I don't, because if you believe in the notion that there is only one individual for you, then I guess you have to believe in the notion
That's
that
like
your life
something
is.
we spoke about. Like, do you believe in love at first sight?
No.
Do you believe that you can fall in love
I
with
think
someone
we'll come on to
first
that because
meet?
I loved that was the U-Haul video. So I think
Yeah.
we'll involve that with that. And I
Yeah.
loved your answer to that because it was basically, I said to you, I was like, the way you answered that was like, the way it literally, like you said it for me, it was kind of like, I completely agree with what you're saying. So I think we'll come on to that.
And there's also that thing about, the first love as well. Because I've had experiences where, especially with the first love and, what that first experience is and everything, when you have other relationships, sometimes you go, fuck, I think I'm not even over that first one. And then you see them and I'm still friends with my first love, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
But there's still moments where I'm like,
But it's the difference between being in love with someone and just being infatuated.
Yeah, and that's what I
Or
think.
being in love with the idea of them.
And I think that's what I'm saying in terms of like if
I don't
because
feel like I've ever been in love.
Never.
I think now that I'm single,
But infatuated.
But very infatuated to the point where I think, well, this is it, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think if you could, like, if for example you had a preview and you were like, this is what perfection, like, because everybody's idea of perfection is different.
Yeah.
So say, like, I don't know, like it was a school class or something, and you get to the age of 16, and they're like, for you as an individual, this is what perfection is. Then you wouldn't make that mistake. But I think as you go through your life, you have to make those mistakes to be like, and like I said, it comes back to the whole personality traits and all things like that.
Yeah.
So you go through those relationships, and obviously you do get infatuated by somebody, and then you become obsessed, and then you become, and you're addicted to that person.
Yeah.
But it's so weird how you, like, because you can go from feeling that way to then looking back on it now and being like, what?
Yeah.
It's
like,
weird though, isn't it? It's like, as human beings, we just go to another human being. You're like, I like you. You stayed near me forever.
Yeah.
Just like,
but what's different as well is that not only like do we realise what we don't like about people, but we're changing every day.
Yeah.
So like not only are our expectations changing from like what we've learned, we're changing, and it's like, whoa, so I'm changing now, so like, do I like that? Do I not?
But
I don't feel like there's ever going to be a
You
formula.
need to find someone that's okay with you changing, and you're okay with them changing as
But
well.
I think like
evolve together.
Yeah.
Don't stagnate together.
Exactly.
That's
and
why
I don't think,
yeah.
but I don't think there's such thing as a failed relationship, because I think every relationship you go through
You learn.
creates what you are now, what I am now. Like if I hadn't had those relationships, then I wouldn't know what I want, what I don't want. It's not like they're not. I don't think it's a failure. It's just you learn from it, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, these are the things that I did like. These are the things that don't work for me.
Yeah.
It's obviously not worked to a point where we've grown apart. So it's like, well, you take that with you and then carry on sort of on a journey beyond and sort of onto the next thing, until you find somebody where it's like, I've learned everything I need to learn, and now I'm ready. Like I've never been more comfortable with myself. Like I know exactly what I want now. I know exactly what I want from somebody else as well. And like because before I've let people into my life, and it's like why did I do that? Like it wasn't good for me, and but you don't realise until
think the way you do now unless it was for them.
Exactly. Yeah. So unless you've been through it, it's like, well,
I think there's something to be said about being single as well.
100%.
Because it's that, oh my God, you're so emotional, but like finding yourself, like realistically being happy to go. Because I know so many people who are very dependent on relationships. They'll bounce, and rely on that rather than just going. But sometimes it's even for shorter periods of time, because people find it themselves at different rates. But you go, this is where I am. This is where I'm at, and then you can go, cool, I'm ready for a relationship. Because someone said it as well. I think Will Smith even said, it's like, how can you expect someone?
Brilliant.
No one can make you happy. You have to make yourself happy.
I listened to that. I remember that turning point in my life, and I sat there after being dumped for the first time ever, and I was like, I'm booking a trip away on my own because I'm an independent woman.
The same thing.
And I went away, and I'd never felt so free. Like, I know who I am now.
Okay.
I don't rely on people.
No.
It's crazy.
No, me neither. Okay, we're going to have to, because otherwise we'll lose
stuff.
That flew. So we'll cut again, and we'll just keep going.
Crack on.
Good times.